I'm Mason, and when my wife announced during our divorce proceedings that she planned to take my business, I didn't react with anger or panic. I let her, fully aware that what she thought would be a windfall was actually a trap she couldn't see, because she inherited $6 million in debt without even realizing it. She had always carried herself with confidence, meticulous planning, and a sense of inevitability, acting as if victory in the division of assets was guaranteed, as if she could claim the business and walk away with wealth she hadn't earned. In court, she smiled, shook hands with her lawyers, and boasted about the empire she was about to inherit, not knowing that the company's apparent value was overshadowed by liabilities, loans, and unpaid obligations I had structured carefully over the years to protect myself. I could have exposed the truth immediately, I could have fought tooth and nail, but instead I stayed calm, letting her believe she had outmaneuvered me, because I knew the lesson would hit harder if she thought she had won. That night, she celebrated with friends, sharing her triumph, completely unaware that each toast, each congratulatory call, and each message she received was a reminder of her perceived victory, a victory built on a foundation of debt that she could not manage alone. Weeks passed, and the truth slowly revealed itself. Bills started arriving, creditors made calls, and unexpected obligations emerged from contracts she hadn't fully examined. The excitement that had danced in her eyes when she signed the papers began to fade, replaced by stress, panic, and disbelief as the reality sank in. The company she had coveted wasn't a treasure chest, it was a liability minefield. $6 million in debt, obligations she had assumed I would cover, and operational responsibilities she had no experience managing suddenly became her burden. Friends and family who had celebrated her apparent victory now asked questions she couldn't answer, and I watched from a distance, maintaining silence, knowing that the consequences she faced were a direct result of her overconfidence and eagerness to seize what seemed like easy success. I didn't gloat, I didn't interfere, because the lesson had far more impact when it came naturally, a reminder that assumptions and shortcuts often carry the heaviest costs. I reflected on the years I had spent building the business, carefully, strategically, anticipating risks, managing debt, and creating contingencies for situations just like this, and I realized that patience, restraint, and foresight were more powerful than confrontation or revenge. She had underestimated the complexity of the business, overestimated her ability to control it, and assumed that her legal maneuvering would guarantee profit rather than responsibility. I let her take the business because I knew the truth would teach her the most important lesson about ambition, planning, and the consequences of decisions made without full understanding. Slowly, her sense of triumph unraveled, replaced by anxiety, stress, and the realization that the empire she had claimed so eagerly was actually a trap she had walked into willingly. Months later, I watched as she tried to navigate the challenges she had inherited. I remained distant, uninvolved, and focused on my own life, allowing the natural consequences to teach the lessons she refused to learn in court. The $6 million in debt was more than just numbers. It was a reminder that success requires more than desire and confidence. It requires knowledge, responsibility, and preparation. Her perceived victory became a cautionary tale, not only for her but for anyone who might assume that entitlement and boldness alone can secure lasting wealth or stability. I felt no satisfaction in her struggle, only a quiet affirmation that restraint, patience, and careful planning often speak louder than anger, lawsuits, or public displays of power. In the end, the story isn't about revenge. It's about strategy, foresight, and allowing life to unfold in a way that teaches lessons naturally. She thought she had won. I let her believe it. But the truth revealed itself in time, a truth she couldn't ignore. The business she coveted carried $6 million of responsibility she hadn't anticipated, and that reality reshaped her perception of success, ownership, and planning. I had protected myself, preserved my peace, and allowed the consequences to speak for themselves, creating a story of patience, wisdom, and quiet control that felt real, inevitable, and satisfying without the need for confrontation, public humiliation, or dramatics.